already this new year. You know, we were on Sunday night on our Sunday night show, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on 910 a.m. the Superstation, the Future Radio. And we talked about the breaking news story on Sunday, January 3rd, dealing with the leaked conference call with Donald Trump and the Secretary of State of Georgia, Raffensperger, and Donald Trump trying to pressure Secretary Raffensperger to find 11,780 votes to overturn a lawful election. Okay, to overturn a lawful election. And this is just more in a pattern of criminality from Donald Trump. Okay, so since that story broke, we see that basically all hell is broken loose. And you have Democrats like Representative Ted Lieu calling for an FBI investigation from FBI Director Christopher Wray. You have many people denouncing what Trump has done. And it's an hour and 2-minute conversation that is all recorded. So Trump can't say he didn't say it because we've heard it, those that listen to it. Okay. Some people haven't listened to it, and I encourage you to listen to it. All right. So what we're going to deal with on tonight's show, we'll deal with some updates on what's going on with the Donald Trump trying to overturn the results of a lawful election in Georgia. Okay, we'll talk about that, and then also we'll deal with the Senate race in Georgia. You know, on Sunday's show, one of the things we talked about was a history of why there's a Senate runoff race in Georgia, and it's rooted in racism. Okay, why there's a Senate runoff race in Georgia, and it's rooted in racism. And I have a follow-up, some follow-up information on that as well. Reverend Raphael Warnock won his race against Senator Kelly Loeffler back November 3rd. He got 32% of the vote, and he got more votes than anybody else. He got more votes than Senator Kelly Loeffler. He got about 1.6 million votes. He got something like 1.2 million votes. He got 32% of the vote. But because of this law rooted in racism, there has to be a runoff election. All right. So we'll talk about, we'll give an update on what's going on with the call that Trump made. I just want to find 11,780 votes. An extraordinary hour-long call. Trump pressures Georgia Secretary of State to recalculate the vote in his favor. So some people are asking the question, okay, so is what Trump has done, is it illegal, and can you prosecute it? All right. And you have a lot of legal scholars saying Trump's call with Georgia's Brad Raffensperger could be illegal, but it would be hard to prosecute, experts say. NBC News has a good article dealing with this. What we're going to do is an hour or two long call. We're going to deal with some key excerpts of the call, and we'll talk about this some more on our show on Tuesday as well. You know, we're here 6 days a week, Monday through Friday, 11 p.m. to 12 midnight Eastern Standard Time. And also we're here on Sundays, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as well. Then we see that Proud Boys leader has been arrested, accused of destroying DC Church's Black Lives Matter sign. Enrique Tarrio, Tarrio, Tarrio was arrested as the group, the Proud Boys, was sued in the destruction of a Black Lives Matter sign at another DC church during pro-Trump protests. Okay, we posted an article about this on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network, from NBCnews.com. And you know, a lot of people thought that this was coming, that this was going to take place. Arrests would be made. So we'll discuss that some as well. Okay. Now, we know that January the 6th, the Congress certifies the votes. Now, this is just ceremonial. This is just ceremonial. This is just a formality. But Wednesday, January the 6th, in preparation of Donald Trump calling for a protest rally, and also Donald Trump says he will be at the rally. In response to that, thousands of National Guard troops are set to descend on Washington, D.C. to support the Biden inauguration. Army and Air Guard commands from nearly 30 states have so far pledged to help swear in the 46th president of the United States later this month. More than 4,000 troops are expected to be on hand when Joe Biden becomes president at noon on January 20th, 2021, on the steps of the U.S. Capitol. Independent.co.uk has an article dealing with this. But for January 6th, in Washington, D.C., there is going to be beefed up security, a beefed up law enforcement presence because of the protests that Donald Trump is calling for. Okay, so you'll hear more about that also. We're broadcasting on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network, and our YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, IMHOTEP. How's everybody doing? Everybody share this broadcast on social media platforms. Invite your friends to tune in also. Okay. Now, on the African History Network show, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right now it's corrects wrong behavior. What you do for yourself, what you do to yourself, and what you allow other people to do to you and get away with is based upon what you think about yourself. What you think about yourself is based upon what you've been taught about yourself. What you've been taught about yourself is based upon everything you've read, heard, and seen about yourself. So when you control the radius of a man's thoughts, you can control the circumference of his actions, because the mind can't do or teach what it doesn't know. Now, we deal with a number of different topics here on the African History Network show. We deal with current events and history and politics, education, economic empowerment, entrepreneurship, relationships, love, sex, health issues, and much, much more. Sign up for our email newsletter. Text the word Kemet, K-E-M-E-T, to 22828. Sign up for our email newsletter. Text the word Kemet, K-E-M-E-T, to 22828 to sign up for our email newsletter. Also visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Sign up for our email newsletter there. Sign up for our email newsletter there as well. If you'd like this type of information, you can donate to the African History Network, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, and also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN Show, paypal.me/the AHN Show. And also at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Okay, click on the yellow donate button. That definitely helps out, being that we're here 6 days a week now as of October 12th instead of 1 day a week. Okay, so we're coming up here on a break in just a minute. Calling numbers 313-778-7600, 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. I want to let's do a quick week recap here of what happened. So on Saturday, January 2nd, Donald Trump called Brad Raffensperger, Secretary of State of Georgia. Donald Trump, as reported by NBC News and MSNBC, had previously tried to contact Brad Raffensperger 18 times. 18 times. There's an article from Politico.com that talks about how Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, because he was contacted by Senator of South Carolina, Lindsey Graham, and according to him, there was pressure put on him by Senator Lindsey Graham to try to overturn the results of the Georgia election or something to that effect. He said that if he talked to Trump, he needed to have that conversation recorded to protect himself. All right. So Donald Trump said the people of Georgia are angry. The people of the country are angry. He said, and there's nothing wrong with saying, that you've recalculated. Throughout this call, Raffensperger and his office's general counsel rejected Donald Trump's assertions, explaining that Donald Trump was relying on debunked conspiracy theories and that President-elect Joe Biden's 11,779 vote victory in Georgia was fair and accurate. Raffensperger responded, well, Mr. President, the challenge that you have is that the data you have is wrong. Now, at another point, Trump said in the conversation, so look, all I want to do is this. I just want to find 11,780 votes, which is one more vote than we have because we won the state, end quote. He's lying. He didn't win the state. He lost. Biden won by 11,779 votes. And Donald Trump at the rally tonight in Georgia, he called out Stacey Abrams' name. This has a tinge of racism because he's trying to overturn. African Americans turned out basically in record numbers. And he is trying to overturn not just the will of the people, but overturn the votes of African Americans and targeting Stacey Abrams at the same time. And he targeted Stacey Abrams in the conference call with Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger and called her corrupt as well. We'll deal with all this on the other side of the break. Listen to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation, the Future Radio. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes. All right, stand by, everybody. Stand by, everybody. How's everybody doing? Stand by. Let me connect back to the radio station. Stand by, everybody. We're on commercial break. Hey, this is Michael calling back. All right. You got the clip that I sent you from NBC News, and it says starts at 29 minutes, right? Okay, we're gonna start with that clip first. Okay, cue that up. 29 minutes. We're gonna start with that. It's about an 11-minute segment that I'm gonna play of that clip. And then, did I send you the one from ABC News yet? Did I send you that one? It's an article from ABC News. I'm trying to see if I sent that to you or not. It's about the interview with Brad Raffensperger that George Stephanopoulos did. I can't remember if I sent that to you or not. If not, I'm about to send that to you also. No, this is from ABC News. No, this is from ABC News. I didn't send that to you. Okay, that's from ABC News. Okay. That clip. That's going to be the second clip that I play. All right. Thanks. All right, stand by, everybody. How's everybody doing? Everybody share this broadcast on your social media platforms. Invite your friends to tune in. We're on commercial break. We'll be back in just a minute. So Donald Trump got impeached because of a phone call trying to shake down Vladimir Zelensky. What the? Okay, stand by. Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation, the Future Radio. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Monday, January 4th, 2020, and we are live January 20th, 2021, January 20th, January 4th, 2021. January 20th can't come fast enough. As many people have probably already figured out, January 20th can't come fast enough. And once again, today's show is sponsored by the Jim James, Paul, and Tyrone Moving Company. Okay. They have a 75% off sale. It's only good for one day, January 20th, 2021. It's only good for people moving from 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. All right. And use promo code DJT, pack your stuff. DJT, pack your stuff. For the Jim James, Paul, and Tyrone Moving Company. Call 1-866-CALL-TYRONE. And we'll even let you use an Obama phone to make the call. All right. So I don't think, Trump is getting worse day by day. That's all there is to it. He's getting worse day by day. All right. I want to go to this clip here. So here's a segment of the call. The Washington Post broke this story on Sunday, June 3rd, 2021. The call took place Saturday, June 2nd, 2021. Read the article from the Washington Post. I just want to find 11,780 votes. An extraordinary hour-long call. Trump pressures Georgia Secretary of State to recalculate the vote in his favor. I want to go to this clip here. This is from NBC News. They posted the full 1 hour and 2 minute call as well, so you can listen to it in its entirety. We're going to pick it up at about the 29-minute mark. Let's go to this clip.
So there's something about that data. It's just not accurate.
Well, I don't know. All I know is that it is certified, and they moved out of Georgia, and they voted. It didn't say they moved back in, Clayton, did it?
No, but I mean, we're looking at the voter registry. Again, if you have additional records, we've been asking for that. But you haven't shared any of that with us. You just keep saying you can.
A lot of it you don't need to be shared. I mean, to be honest, they should share it. They should share it because you want to get to an honest election. I won this election by hundreds of thousands of votes. There's no way I lost Georgia. There's no way. We won by hundreds of thousands of votes. I'm just going by small numbers. When you add them up, they're many times the 11,000. But I won that state by hundreds of thousands of votes. Now, do you think it's possible that they shredded ballots in Fulton County? Because that's what the rumor is. And also that Dominion took out machines. That Dominion is really moving fast to get rid of their machinery. Do you know anything about that? Because that's illegal.
This is Ryan, Germany. No, Dominion has not moved any machinery out of Fulton County. We're having.
Well, but have they moved? Have they moved the inner parts of the machines and replaced them with other parts?
No.
You sure, Ryan?
I'm sure, Mr. President.
And what about the ballots? The shredding of the ballots. Have they been shredding ballots?
No, the only investigation that we have into that, they have not been shredding any ballots. There was an issue in Cobb County where they were doing normal, office shredding, getting rid of old stuff, and we investigated that. And this is stuff from past elections.
Well, I don't know.
And that's what
it doesn't pass the smell test, though, because we hear they're shredding thousands and thousands of ballots.
Hey, pause it right there, Shakita.
And now what they're saying? Oh, we just.
Pause it right there. Okay, just back it up about 20 seconds. Okay, so Donald Trump, throughout this call, he's throwing out all these idiotic conspiracy theories. This is what's so dangerous when you have somebody this stupid as president, that he's acting based upon idiotic conspiracy theories. Now, Detroit Free Press has an article picked up from the Associated Press. We posted this today. Fact check: Trump's made up claims of fake Georgia votes in controversial phone call. Fact check: Trump's made up claims of fake Georgia votes in controversial phone call. This is from the Detroit Free Press, freep.com, and they picked this up from the Associated Press. President Donald Trump put forth a dizzying array of fuzzy accounting and outright false claims in an extraordinary phone call to Georgia Secretary of State, seeking a reversal of his election defeat, fabricating a slew of votes that he said should have been counted in his favor. In the hour-long conversation Saturday with Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, Trump suggested that Brad Raffensperger is a lifelong Republican and voted for Trump twice. Okay. He suggested that the Republican, quote unquote, find enough votes to hand Trump the victory. The Associated Press obtained the full audio of Trump's conversation with Georgia officials from a person on the call. The Associated Press is not publishing the full audio in keeping with its policy of not amplifying disinformation and unproven allegations. Let's see. They go through and fact check a lot of these nonsensical claims Trump made. Let's say a look at Trump claims on the call and how they compare with reality. Trump said, if we can go over some of the numbers, I think it's pretty clear we won. We won very substantially in Georgia. No, you didn't win. You lost by 11,779 votes. Okay. The facts: no, Trump lost Georgia in an election the state has certified for Democrat Joe Biden. And there have been 2 recounts also. Trump lost the recounts as well. With ballots counted 3 times, including once by hand, Georgia's certified totals show Trump lost to Biden by 11,779 votes out of nearly 5 million. Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger certified the totals, with officials saying they found no evidence that Trump won. Now, when these 60 lawsuits that Trump has had, his campaign has filed, okay, in these lawsuits, they're not alleging fraud. When they actually go to court, the attorneys are not alleging fraud, because they know if they allege fraud, they're going to have some facts to back up fraud. They'll cite voting irregularities, different things like this. They're not alleging fraud in these lawsuits. In every last one of these lawsuits, except for the one in Pennsylvania that they won, and that just dealt with how close poll watchers could be to poll workers counting the votes. Okay, they could be like 6 feet away as opposed to 15, 20 feet away. All this other stuff, if they haven't withdrawn the case, all these other cases have been thrown out because they lack evidence. So you can say what you want to on Fox News or Newsmax or outside the Four Seasons landscaping company next to the sex shop. You can say what you want to there. When you go to court, you have to have evidence. That's why all these cases are being thrown out. They're even being thrown out by judges that Trump appointed. So when we look at Trump, let's see. Trump said people should be happy to have an accurate count. We have other states, I believe, will be flipping to us shortly. No other state. Look, the states have already certified. The board of canvassers at the county level has certified. The state board of canvassers in all 50 states has certified. The electoral college has certified the votes on December 14th. There is no this stuff is going to change. None of this is going to change. Okay, he needs to get over it and needs to pack his stuff and get ready to leave January 20th, 2021. Here are the facts. No reversal of the election outcome is in the offing in Georgia or other states. Biden defeated Trump by some 7 million popular votes nationwide and by a tally of 306 to 232 in the electoral college. None of this is going to change. Achieving victory in the other key states such as Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Arizona. Trump's former Attorney General, William Barr, found no evidence of widespread election fraud. Attorney General William Barr investigated this. Trump's allegations of massive voting fraud have been dismissed by a succession of judges and refuted by state election officials and an arm of his own administration's Homeland Security Department. So he's just lying. Okay. Let's go back to this. Let's go back to this clip here, Shakita. Let's go back to the clip.
Asking for that, but you haven't shared any of that with us. You just keep saying you can.
A lot of it you don't need to be shared. I mean, to be honest, they should share it. They should share it because you want to get to an honest election. I won this election by hundreds of thousands of votes. There's no way I lost Georgia. There's no way. We won by hundreds of thousands of votes. I'm just going by small numbers. When you get them up there, many times the 11,000. But I won that state by hundreds of thousands of votes. Now, do you think it's possible that they shredded ballots in Fulton County? Because That's what the rumor is. And also that Dominion took out machines. That Dominion is really moving fast to get rid of their machinery. Do you know anything about that? Because that's illegal.
Ryan, Germany. No, Dominion has not moved any machinery out of Fulton County. We're having.
Well, but have they moved? Have they moved the inner parts of the machines and replaced them with other parts?
No.
You sure, Ryan?
I'm sure, Mr. President.
And what about the ballots? The shredding of the ballots. Have they been shredding ballots?
The only investigation that we have into that, they have not been shredding any ballots. There was an issue in Cobb County where they were doing normal, office shredding, getting rid of old stuff, and we investigated that. And this is stuff from past elections.
I don't know.
And that's what
it doesn't pass the smell test, because we hear they're shredding thousands and thousands of ballots, and now what they're saying, we're just cleaning up the office. I don't think that's plenty.
Mr. President, the problem you have with social media, people can say,
no, this isn't social media. This is Trump media. It's not social.
Hold on. Pause it right there, Shakita. Pause it right there, Shakita. Okay, now this dumbass just said, this is not social media. This is Trump media. Okay, what are you calling Trump media? This dude is getting worse day by day. I'm trying to tell you. Now, if you've been watching my show, I've been on the air 10 years. If you watched me back in 2016, I was doing nationally syndicated radio 5 days a week. I warned our people day after day after day after day after day after day, long before the election, that he was not fit to be president. This is one of the reasons why. Read this article here from NBCnews.com. In call to Georgia's Secretary of State, Trump pushed QAnon and 4chan created conspiracy theories. This idiot is trying to overturn election results that have been certified at the county level, at the state level, and by the Electoral College based upon conspiracy theories. He said this is not social media, this is Trump media. They go through and break down. They look at, let's see, how many do they look at here? If we look at the Trump pulled together all the major talking points. Let's see, the internet, while his claims were wide ranging, Trump focused in particular on a conspiracy theory that alleges that Georgia election worker Ruby Freeman, working in the State Farm Arena in downtown Atlanta, produced thousands of fake ballots from a suitcase that somehow swung to the vote to President-elect Joe Biden. The theory was debunked weeks ago by state election officials who called the baseless claims ridiculous, because they are, explaining that the full surveillance video showed workers packing official absentee ballot carriers with valid uncounted ballots in anticipation of going home for the evening and unpacking the same carrier when they were told to stay. Now, in the call, Trump said we won Florida, we won Georgia by hundreds of thousands of votes. Notice he didn't say how many votes he won Georgia by. He said we won by hundreds of thousands of votes. Notice he didn't say how many votes they won Georgia by. Now, what I find interesting is that you have about 140 Republicans in the House of Representatives, plus you got about 12 U.S. senators who on January 6th are going to object to the certification of the votes. They're claiming voter fraud, voter irregularities, things like this, right? Does that only apply to votes that went for Joe Biden? Because your name was on the same ballot in races in your district. Was there fraud in votes that went for you, or only for Democrats? That's what I find interesting. You had some of them that say, "Oh, well, the new Congress should not be sworn in. The votes are invalid. There's fraud. Blah blah blah." Well, your name was on the same ballot. Were there fraudulent votes for you? We talked about this on our Sunday night show. Okay, talked about this story on a Sunday night show. In Pennsylvania, there was there were 3 cases of people who voted who committed voter fraud for Trump. You had this one guy who, if you look at this article from Newsweek.com, man charged for voting as dead mother for Trump in 3rd case of voter fraud in Pennsylvania. Now, in all this, I just find it interesting. I don't think Trump mentioned this on the call. This was in Pennsylvania. I know it's a different state, but I thought Rudy Giuliani would have a press conference about this outside of the four seasons. They have a press conference about this. Man charged for voting as dead mother for Trump in 3rd case of voter fraud in Pennsylvania. Now, this is verified voter fraud. Why aren't they talking about this? This is from December 21st, 2020. Delaware County, Pennsylvania man Bruce Bartman was arraigned Friday after admitting to authorities that he had registered his dead mother to vote in the 2020 presidential election for President Donald Trump. Trump, who lost both the popular and electoral votes to President-elect Joe Biden, has basically alleged the election manipulation allowed Democrats to steal the election from him. Despite already having certified its election results, Trump's legal team asked the U.S. Supreme Court to overturn Pennsylvania's final tally before Congress meets to formally count the electoral votes on January 6, 2020. Bruce Bartman's case constitutes the 3rd verified instance of voter fraud in Pennsylvania's presidential election. Now, in the Monday press conference, Delaware County District Attorney Jack Stolzheimer said Bruce Bartman committed the crimes in order to help Trump win. That's a felony. You're gonna commit a felony to vote one time? That doesn't even make sense. You're gonna commit a felony to vote one time? Quote, Bartman, who is a registered Republican, also registered his mother as a Republican, end quote, Stolzheimer said. Quote, he has admitted to the detectives that questioned him that he did this to further the campaign of Donald Trump. He, in fact, cast the ballot of his deceased mother for President Donald Trump. So when I hear people talk about, oh, you had dead people voting, why are they talking about this? There are 3 verified cases of voter fraud in Pennsylvania, and these people voted for Trump. I just find this very interesting. Maybe somebody who, I know we have Trump supporters that watch this show and listen to 9:10 a.m. Superstation WFDF. Once you get this to Rudy Giuliani and Sidney Powell, these other idiot attorneys Trump has, once you get this to them, maybe they could talk about this. It's from Newsweek.com. Go research that. All right, let's go. Let's see where we're on time. Okay. So read the article here from NBC News dealing with these idiotic QAnon conspiracies and call to Georgia's Secretary of State. Trump pushed QAnon and 4chan created conspiracy theories. Okay. Let's go back to this clip for a few more minutes. Let's go back to this clip, Shakita.
Social media is big tech. Big tech is on your side. I don't even know why you have a side, because you should want to have an accurate election. And you're a Republican.
We believe that we do have an accurate election.
No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't have. Not even close. You're off by hundreds of thousands of votes, and just on the small numbers, you're off on these numbers. And these numbers can't be judged. Well, why won't? Okay, so you send us into Cobb County for signature verification, right? You send us into Cobb County, which we didn't want to go into, and you said it would be open to the public, and we could have so we had our experts there. They weren't allowed into the room, but we didn't want Cobb County. We wanted Fulton County, and you wouldn't give it to us. Now, why aren't we doing signature, and why can't it be open to the public, and why can't we have professionals do it instead of rank amateurs that will never find anything and don't want to find anything? They don't want to find, they don't want to find anything. Someday you'll tell me the reason why, because I don't understand your reasoning, but someday you'll tell me the reason why. But why don't you want to find
Cobb County?
Why don't you want to find
County?
What?
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, okay, so why did you do Cobb County? We didn't even we requested Fulton County, not Cobb County.
Mr. President, we do have in our election funds.
Yeah, go ahead, please. Go ahead.
We chose Cobb County because that was the only county where there's been any evidence submitted that a signature verification was not properly done.
Well, no, but I told you, but we're not saying that. We are we're the aggrieved party. Fulton County, look, Stacey, in my opinion, Stacey is as dishonest as they come. She has outplayed you at every heart, at everything. She got you to sign a totally unconstitutional agreement, which is a disastrous agreement. You can't check signatures. You can't do it. I can't imagine you're allowed to do harvesting, I guess, in that agreement. That agreement is a disaster for this country. But she got you somehow to sign that thing, and she's outsmarted you at every step. And I hate to imagine what's going to happen on Monday or Tuesday, but it's very scary to people, where the ballots flow in out of nowhere. It's very scary to people. That consent decree is a disaster. It's a disaster. A very good lawyer who examined it said they've never seen anything like it. And
everything is still illegal in the state of Georgia, and that settlement agreement did not change that.
Well, it's not a settlement agreement. It's a consent decree. It even says consent decree on it, doesn't it? It uses the term consent decree. It doesn't say settlement agreement. It's a consent decree. It's a disaster.
It's a settlement agreement.
What's written on top of it?
Brian?
I don't have it in front of me, but it was not entered by the court. It's not a court order.
No, it's called, but Ryan, it's called the consent decree. Is that right on the paper? Is that right?
I don't believe so. I don't have it in front of me.
Okay. Whatever. It's a disaster. It's a disaster. Look, here's the problem. We can go through signature verification, and we'll find thousands of signatures if you let us do it. And the only way you can do it, as you know, is to go to the past. But you didn't do that in Cobb County. You just looked at one page compared to another. The only way you can do a signature verification is go from the one that signed it on November, whatever, recently, and compare it to 2 years ago, 4 years ago, 6 years ago, or even one. And you'll find that you have many different signatures. But in Fulton, where they dumped the ballots, you will find that you have many that aren't even signed, and you have many that are forgeries. Okay? You know that. You know that. You have no doubt about that. And you will be at 11,779 within minutes, because Fulton County is totally corrupt, and so is she totally corrupt. And they're going around playing you and laughing at you behind your back, Brad. Whether you know it or not, they're laughing at you. And you've taken a state that's a Republican state, and you've made it almost impossible for a Republican to win because of cheating, because they cheated like nobody's ever cheated before.
Okay, pause it right there, Shakita. Pause it right there. Okay, so here's Trump calling Stacey Abrams totally corrupt. This is unindicted co-conspirator number one, calling Stacey Abrams totally corrupt. Now, if we go back to the fact checking, and then next I'm going to go to the clip from ABC News, Shakita. So just refresh that screen so it refreshes that clip. If we go back to the fact checking from the Detroit Free Press, picked up from the Associated Press, Trump talks about mail-in ballots. And Trump said, quote, "We think if there is a real check of signatures going back in Fulton County, you'll find at least a couple of 100,000 of forged signatures," end quote. See, when African Americans turn out and change the balance of power, change the balance of the election, there's a history of then saying, oh, well, those votes were fraudulent. There's a history of trying to undermine African-American votes. If Georgia had gone for Trump, if everything else was the same, if Georgia had gone for Trump, Trump wouldn't be saying this at all. He wouldn't be challenging the signatures. He wouldn't be throwing out these conspiracy theories if Georgia went for Trump. Okay, he can't handle the fact that he lost Georgia. He can't handle the fact that he lost the election. And he's trying to stay out of prison. Now, the facts are that has no basis in reality. It would be impossible for anyone to have forged hundreds of thousands of signatures on mail-in ballots in Fulton County because there were only about 147,000 mail-in ballots in Georgia's most populous county, Fulton County, with about 116,000 of them going to Joe Biden. Read this fact check, and they go through and break down all these claims. Now, this morning on Good Morning America on ABC, George Stephanopoulos spoke with Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger about this call and the fallout from it. Let's go to this excerpt. Turn it up some.
United States would be doing that.
Yeah, just
top election officials.
Just start it back from the beginning. And
what were you thinking and feeling during that?
All right, here we go. All right, it'll start playing in just a second. Trump, quote, just plain wrong, end quote, on fraud claims, Georgia Secretary of State Raffensperger said. Let's go to the clip. All right, just start playing it when it cues back up. Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger said Monday, January 4th, 2021, that the data President Donald Trump cited to him throughout an hour-long phone call Saturday, January 2nd, to claim there was rampant voter fraud in the state's presidential election, quote, is just plain wrong, end quote. He went on to say, he did most of the talking, we did most of the listening, but I did want to make my points that the data that he has is just plain wrong, Raffensperger said of the extraordinary call during an exclusive interview with ABC News chief anchor George Stephanopoulos on Good Morning America. Quote, do we have the clip cue back up? Just go ahead and start playing it.
That tape with my own ears, I couldn't believe that a president of the United States would be doing that to a top election official in your state. What were you thinking and feeling during that hour?
George, for the last 2 months, we've been fighting the rumor whack-a-mole. And it was pretty obvious very early on that we debunked every one of those theories that have been out there, but the President Trump continues to believe them. We debunked the one about, the State Farm Arena. We debunked that with WSB here in Atlanta. Ware County, they reported 26% difference. It was actually 0.26%. So we continue to debunk this. We believe that truth matters. We continue to fight to get our message out, but it's fighting the rumor whack-a-mole daily.
Did you feel the pressure when he said, find the votes?
No, we have to follow the process, follow the law.
All right, I think maybe the clip is buffering. Okay, just start playing it when it clears up. Now, also, ABC News is reporting that the NAACP calls on Georgia District Attorney to investigate Trump. The NAACP is calling on the Georgia District Attorney to investigate Trump. Okay, check that clip again, because I think that clip is like 3 minutes in length, Shakita. Trump asked the Georgia official to find 11,780 votes to overturn the results. So the NAACP, this is from January 4th, 2021. The NAACP is calling on the Fulton County District Attorney to investigate President Donald Trump's weekend call to Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger when he asked the top election official in Georgia to, quote, find 11,780 votes, end quote, for him to overturn the state's election results. In Georgia, Black voters were critical to the success of the Biden campaign, and NAACP president and CEO Derek Johnson said that the president's calling on election officials to, quote unquote, find votes is the latest stunt, along with a series of lawsuits filed by the Trump administration targeting African American voters. Now, keep in mind, Donald Trump tried to appeal to African American voters with the platinum plan. Okay, that week 2-page platinum plan that I called a fool's gold plan, and went through and broke it down to you and showed how it was a fool's gold plan. And a lot of what Trump, a lot of what was in that plan contradicts what Trump had been doing the previous 3.5 years. Okay, so then when that didn't work, because see, in 2016, he asked African Americans, what the hell do you have to lose? I said the correct answer would be everything. Okay, in 2020, African Americans realized that the correct answer was everything. Okay, so they ain't fall for that again. So now, being that he lost, now he's trying to undermine and discredit the same African American votes that he tried to get. The same African American votes he tried to get in Atlanta, in Pittsburgh, in Milwaukee, in Philadelphia, in Detroit. He lost those. Now he's trying to undermine and overturn and discredit those votes. All right, so. Okay, we've only got a couple minutes here left in the show. Those watching on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, and our YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, keep watching. We're going to continue broadcasting after we stop broadcasting on 9:10 a.m. on the Superstation WFDF here in Detroit. Now, in Georgia, Black voters were critical to the success of the Biden campaign, and NAACP president and CEO Derek Johnson said that the president's calling on election officials to find votes is the latest stunt, along with a series of lawsuits filed by the Trump administration, about 60 lawsuits. And this is the latest stunt, along with a series of lawsuits filed by the Trump administration targeting African-American voters. Quote, this is a racist attack on Black voters. President Trump's desperate and futile attempts to invalidate and falsify votes cast by Georgia voters add to a growing list of criminal acts that must be addressed. His blatant disregard of the election's accurate results is harmful to the American people and democracy itself, end quote, said NAACP president and CEO Derek Johnson. Now, in the call that we play excerpts of Sunday night and today, Trump, citing debunked and dismissed conspiracy theories about election fraud in Georgia, repeatedly demanded that Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, who is a Republican, quote unquote, find enough votes to deliver the president a win in the Peach State, wrongly claiming it is, quote, not possible for him, end quote, to have lost the election there. Okay. Now, the NAACP president, Derek Johnson, told ABC News that he sees this as the latest effort in, quote, challenging the legitimacy of African-American votes, whether it was in Milwaukee or Wayne County, Michigan, Philadelphia, or in this case, Atlanta, end quote. Wayne County is the county that Detroit is in. All right. Okay, we're out of time here on 9:10 a.m. Superstation WFDF. Those watching on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, our YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, keep watching. We're going to keep broadcasting for a little while longer. If you'd like this type of information, you could donate to the African History Network, $ The AHN Show through Cash App, $ The AHN Show through Cash App, and then also through PayPal, paypal.me/The AHN Show. We're here Monday through Friday, 11 p.m. to 12 midnight Eastern Standard Time, and then Sundays, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And also, you can listen to the audio podcast of these shows, wherever you get your podcasts from. Search for the African History Network Show. And then also at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, click on Listen to Podcasts. Right now, it's correct wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. We'll talk to you tomorrow night. Peace. All right, stand by. Stand by, everybody. All right, let's keep going. How's everybody doing? African-American business owners, post name your business here on the thread of the broadcast. Email us at customerservice@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, customerservice@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. We'll let you know how you can advertise with the African History Network as well. We have some new advertisers that we brought on, so you'll hear their ads and see their ads this week. Okay, and follow us on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, our YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, IMHOTEP. Turn on notifications so you know when we go live. We do rebroadcasts of these shows throughout the day and other broadcasts I've done. And sometimes I go live as well. All right. Let's continue with this for a little while longer here. Okay, so read this article here from abcnews.com. abcnews.go.com is the official website. NAACP calls on Georgia DA to investigate Trump call. NAACP calls on Georgia DA to investigate Trump call. And then also we have at least 2 Democrats calling for FBI Director Christopher Wray to open up an investigation into Trump's call as well. We'll talk about that in just a minute. Let's see here. Okay, and then we know all this is happening right before the Tuesday, January 5th runoff election as well. Okay, so all this is taking place all at the same time. All right, we're going to post a link here to this article. Check this out. Also from abcnews.go.com. All right. I want to go back to this clip here. We're going to play the full clip. It was on at the radio station. They were having problems. It was cutting off. It's about 3 minutes. We're going to play the full clip here. So let's go with this here. Just a second. Stand by.
Berger, thank you for joining us again this morning. If I hadn't heard that tape with my own ears, I couldn't believe that a president of the United States would be doing that to a top election official in your state. What were you thinking and feeling during that hour?
George, for the last 2 months, we've been fighting the rumor whack-a-mole. And it was pretty obvious very early on that we debunked every one of those theories that have been out there, but the President Trump continues to believe them. We debunked the one about, I guess, the State Farm Arena. We debunked that with WSB here in Atlanta. Ware County, they reported 26% difference. It was actually 0.26%. So we continue to debunk this. We believe that truth matters. We continue to fight to get our message out, but it's fighting the rumor whack-a-mole daily.
Did you feel the pressure when he said find the votes?
No, we have to follow the process, follow the law. Everything.
All right, stand by. It's that clip is cutting off for some reason. I don't know. You know what? Let me try it a different way. Okay, what we'll do, we'll go to another clip anyway. I have another one. I wanted to deal with this one. So FBI Director Christopher Wray has been asked to launch an investigation into this call. Democrats asked FBI Director Wray to open criminal probe into Trump after leaked phone call. A pair of House Democrats, members of the House of Representatives, are asking FBI Director Christopher Wray to open a criminal probe into President Donald Trump after a leaked phone call showed him pleading with Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger to overturn the state's election results. You have Representative Ted Lieu of California and Representative Kathleen Rice of New York. They wrote in a letter to FBI Director Christopher Wray on Monday, January 4th, 2021. They said, quote, as members of Congress and former prosecutors. So unlike a lot of people calling in the radio shows, running their mouths, talking about stuff they don't know about, Representative Ted Lieu and Representative Kathleen Rice are actually attorneys and they're former prosecutors. Okay, that's different than like being a divorce attorney or something like that. They're actual former prosecutors. As members of Congress and former prosecutors, we believe Donald Trump engaged in solicitation or conspiracy to commit a number of election crimes. We ask you to open an immediate criminal investigation into the president. Let me see. Do we have this clip pulled up here? Representative Ted Lieu was on MSNBC today, and we're going to try to pull that clip up here. I had it queued up for the radio station, but we didn't get a chance to get to that. All right, we'll try to pull this up here in just a minute. He was on MSNBC today and discussed this. So let's try to pull that one up. Just bear with me just a minute here. All right. Let's go to, okay, we'll pull it up. We'll get that clip queued up. All right. So then, so you have that story. On Sunday's show, I was talking about Dominion, the Dominion voting system company, and how they were threatening legal action against Fox News and Newsmax and some of the Trump allies, things like that. The article I was looking for, was from Forbes. Forbes.com. It's called Fox News Newsmax Walk Back Election Fraud Claims After Voting Machine Manufacturer Threatens Legal Action. Fox News Newsmax Walk Back Election Fraud Claims After Voting Machine Manufacturer Threatens Legal Action. Okay. And this deals with how this is from December 21st, 2020. We talked about this when it came out, and I posted about this on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, as well. But it goes through and it deals with how Newsmax and Fox News aired segments that were spouting a bunch of nonsensical conspiracy theories. Donald Trump has picked up on those. And it says, without explicitly addressing their prior coverage, Fox News and Newsmax both aired segments over the past few days, walking back a subset of election fraud claims centering around voting machines manufacturer Smartmatic, which earlier this month delivered legal notices to a trio of conservative networks for promoting baseless conspiracy theories about the company. In a 3-minute segment aired on 3 shows that previously played host to some of the more zany election fraud claims coming from Trump advocates, Fox Business Lou Dobbs Tonight and Fox News Maria Bartiromo's Sunday Morning Futures and Janine Pereiro's Justice with Judge Janine, Fox News appeared to retract allegations made against Smartmatic. In each pre-recorded segment entitled Closer Look at Claims About Smartmatic, an unnamed voice is heard questioning Open Source Election Technology Institute Director Eddie Perez, labeled a leading who was labeled a leading authority on open source software for elections, who fact checks false claims about Smartmatic, including some that have previously made their way onto Fox News's airwaves as serious allegations. So then they talk about Newsmax, they talk about Lou Dobbs. Newsmax also aired its own apparent response to Smartmatic's demands, in which host John Tobacco sought to clarify, quote unquote, clarify the network's coverage, stressing that it, quote, has not reported as true certain claims made about these companies, end quote. So go through and read this full. Okay. There was a critical quote here. There are certain facts our viewers and readers should be aware of, said John Tobacco, rattling off common fraud claims about Smartmatic and fellow conspiracy theory target Dominion voter systems that manufactured voting machines that Trump is lying about. Okay. Smartmatic and fellow conspiracy theory target Dominion voter systems that he said there is, quote, no evidence to support. Quote, Dominion has stated its company has no ownership relationship with the House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's family, Senator Dianne Feinstein's family, the Clinton family, Hugo Chavez, or the government of Venezuela. Okay, so it goes through, and they had to backtrack from this stuff because they're lying. They had to backtrack from it. So these companies threaten legal action. If you keep lying about our companies, they threaten legal action. So if you are telling the truth and they threaten you with a lawsuit, then you're going to say, come on and bring it. We'll send you in court if you're telling the truth. You only have to post retractions. You only have to backstep when the facts are not on your side. That's what Fox News and Newsmax and these different shows had to do. Go through and read this. This is because I printed this out. This is about six pages when you print it out. Go read this article here from Forbes. And we'll try to bring this up on the screen share. Fox News, Newsmax, walk back election fraud claims after voting machine manufacturer threatens legal action. Okay, that's how you know. That's how you know the stuff they were putting out is false. Okay, you think this is the first time Fox News has been sued? You think this is the first time Fox News has been sued? Fox News is a multi-million-dollar organization. So you only worry about lawsuit when the facts are not on your side. And you know the facts are not on your side. Let's pull up this article here so you can see it, so you can go read this. Because proper documentation ends all conversation. You don't have to believe a word that I say. Go research this for yourself. I tell people, you don't have to believe me. Go research this for yourself. That's why I give you the names of the articles. I give you the sources. You don't have to believe me. Go read this for yourself. This is from Forbes.com. December 21st, 2020. Fox News, Newsmax walk back election fraud claims after voting machine manufacturer threatens legal action. Okay. So check that out at Forbes.com. And then the article from ABC News dealing with the NAACP. Everybody should check this out because this ties right into what's going on in Georgia right now. And all this ties into history. All this ties into racism. We went through and broke this down. We did a 3-hour show Sunday night. Ain't trying to do 3 hours tonight because Sunday night show was only supposed to be 2 hours. We ended up doing 3 hours. Racism is a system of advantage and privilege distributed based upon race. Racism is a system of advantage and privilege distributed based upon race. Racism occurs when one race of people control the majority of the wealth, power, resources, benefits, privileges, land, access to education, access to opportunity, politics, laws, healthcare, education, money, etc. And they use that to marginalize, subordinate, and do harm to another race of people. This is what racism is. Okay, now read this article here from ABC News. NAACP calls on Georgia DA, district attorney, to investigate Trump call. Okay, this is from January 4th, 2021. Read this one as well. All right, I want to go to the interview from MSNBC with Representative Ted Lieu about his letter that he wrote to FBI Director Christopher Wray asking for an investigation into Trump's call. Now remember, what led to Donald Trump being impeached? A telephone call. Okay. July 25th, 2019 to the new Ukrainian president, Vladimir Zelensky. And what was he trying to do? He was trying to pressure Vladimir Zelensky to open up an investigation into Joe Biden and Hunter Biden. Why? To hurt Joe Biden in the presidential election. Because out of the about 26 Democratic candidates, Joe Biden was the candidate that Donald Trump feared the most. I talked about this months ago. Joe Biden was the candidate Donald Trump feared the most. Okay. Well, what's this call about? This is about trying to overturn the results of an election that the person that Donald Trump feared the most actually won. Joe Biden. This is what all this is about. This is what all this is about. He feared Biden in the election. He got impeached trying to stop Biden in the election and trying to get dirt on him. Then now you have many people saying this is an impeachable offense. Now being he only has 2 weeks left, they're not going to drop articles of impeachment. They should, but they're not. But here he's trying to overturn the results of a lawful election that Biden won. Okay, so let's see. Okay, yeah, here we go. This is Ayman Mohadeen on MSNBC speaking with Representative Ted Lieu about this, about his asking FBI Director Christopher Wray to open up an investigation.
Two House Democrats, for their part, are calling specifically for the FBI Director Christopher Wray to open up a criminal probe into President Trump's Saturday call to Georgia's Secretary of State. Here's more of what the president said on that call.
So, look, all I want to do is this. I just want to find 11,780 votes. There's nothing wrong with saying that, that you've recalculated.
All right, given what we just heard out of that news conference, we are now joined by one of the House Democrats who sent that letter, California Congressman Ted Lieu. He is a member of the Judiciary Committee. Congressman, great to have you with us. Let's just react, if we can, for a moment to the breaking news that we heard there coming out of Georgia. Really that point-by-point rebuke of the president and the claims he has been making, but also more specifically to what you called for today, an investigation from the FBI into this. Any reaction to what you heard there from Georgia election official Gabriel Sterling?
Thank you for your question. That was a stunning takedown of all the bizarre conspiracy theories that Donald Trump and his enablers have put forward. And it really shows you how out of touch Donald Trump has been. And it's not just out of touch. Donald Trump in the world, and he was threatening the Georgia Secretary of State to essentially commit election fraud.
Were you at all surprised that the office, he had not yet, Gabriel Sterling, of whether or not the Office of State would open an investigation or call on the Fulton County DA or the Georgia Attorney General to launch an investigation? Do you have any news on that front in terms of what you specifically called for from the FBI today?
I don't have any news on the Georgia election officials front, and Mr. Sterling might not be the person in the position to refer such a case to the relevant law enforcement authorities. What I do know is that the Georgia State Code is very clear. It is a crime to solicit election fraud, and that's what Donald Trump did over and over again on his 1 hour phone call with the Georgia Secretary of State.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit more about why you and Congresswoman Kathleen Rice of New York decided to refer this to FBI Director Christopher Wray. Have you had any response so far from the FBI that you can share with us?
Sure. So Congresswoman Rice and I are both former prosecutors, and when we heard that phone call, it was very clear to us that crimes had been committed on that call. Specifically, under 52 U.S.C. Section 2511, you cannot knowingly and willingly essentially attempt election fraud. And that's what Donald Trump did when he told the Georgia Secretary of State to go find 11,780 votes. That's a very specific number. It's one more than he needs to win the state of Georgia. He also told the Georgia Secretary of State to recalculate the votes. And both of those statements would constitute an attempt at election fraud. We only sent a letter this morning, so the FBI does take some time to investigate, so we don't expect a response immediately.
Let me ask you really quickly before I get to what this means for the president, even potentially pardoning himself. My colleague Garrett Hake was reporting on Capitol Hill, Representative Hakeem Jeffries, among others, not necessarily concerned with looking back or opening an investigation into this phone call. What would you say to Representative Hakeem Jeffries if you had a difference of opinion about whether or not this call should be investigated? He wants to look forward and the incoming Biden administration not focus on this call.
I think it's fine to look forward. At the same time, law enforcement should do what they do, which is investigate potential crimes, and then it'll be up to the prosecutors to decide whether or not they want to charge those crimes. It's very clear that the evidence is now in broad daylight. There's at least a 1 hour recording, and the FBI needs to authenticate that recording, verify that people are who they say they are on that recording, and then conduct an investigation and then hand it to the prosecutors for a decision.
What do you make about the potential setup if, in fact, this investigation is launched, that the president could potentially try to pardon himself?
So first of all, the president cannot pardon anyone for state crimes, and the president also cannot pardon himself. No legal expert that has any credibility says that the president can't pardon himself. That completely goes against what the Supreme Court has said in the past, which is that no one is above the law, including the president of the United States.
All right, let me play for you, if I can, also about what the president might do next. This is the kind of advice he is getting inside the White House. Watch this.
January 20th cannot be changed. That's constitutional. But this whole certification thing, the dates
well, it can be changed, anyway, actually. We can go past that date. We can go past that date.
Oh.
We can go past that date.
No, you can't.
If we need to.
No, you can't.
All right. Unfortunately, a quick fact check for our viewers. Peter Navarro there is dead wrong. The 20th Amendment to the Constitution sets the date of the inauguration, not the president. Congressman, how much does it concern you that these people are the people that the president is getting his advice from?
Dumbass.
Well, Peter Navarro is right in the sense that we could blow past that date with nothing happening, in which case Speaker Pelosi would become president of the United States, which I'm totally fine with. But I am concerned that Peter Navarro is giving all sorts of wrong advice to Donald Trump. And it's really his enablers that have made it worse in what Donald Trump is doing. And hopefully we have more and more Republicans stand up, such as a number of Republican senators and House members who have said that they will not object to Electoral College results on Wednesday.
All right, Congressman Ted Lieu of California, sir, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. I appreciate your time and patience. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so that was from MSNBC. Check that clip out. That was Ayman Mohadeen speaking with Representative Ted Lieu. Okay, Representative Ted Lieu of California. He and Representative Kathleen Rice, Democrat of New York, wrote a letter to Christopher Wray asking for an investigation to be launched. They're both former prosecutors, okay? So they have a better understanding of law than most people, especially a lot of these trolls commenting right here as well. If these trolls are real people, which half of them probably are not. All right. I want to go to now there's a little debate. We'll talk about this some more tomorrow night. There's a little debate dealing with Trump calls with so legal experts are saying that it would be hard to prosecute Trump, after he leaves the White House. Proving criminal intent would make a prosecution difficult, one legal expert says. Others were more gung-ho about the prospect of a case. They discussed that on Morning Joe. And let me see. I think we have time. We can squeeze in this clip here. It's only about 4 minutes. We'll go to that in just a second here. So it has to be a situation where there has to be an intent to commit a crime. But it's obvious that Trump knows that he lost. Because as Representative Ted Lieu said, he's given a specific number of votes to find to win. So it's obvious that he knows that he lost.
Did the president commit a crime?
Absolutely. It sure looks that way from everything on the tape. Maybe there's some surrounding circumstances that exculpate him, but I think a criminal investigation here is absolutely warranted. He said, Joe.
Let me just say this. So this is attorney Neil Cattell, legal expert Neil Cattell, who has argued cases in front of the U.S. Supreme Court, by the way. Okay. Let's go back to this clip. This is from Morning Joe, January 4th, 2021. Why it sure looks like Trump committed crime with call.
President commit a crime?
Absolutely. It sure looks that way from everything on the tape. Maybe there's some surrounding circumstances that exculpate him, but I think a criminal investigation here is absolutely warranted. He said, Joe, you need to go find 11,780 votes. I mean, someone who's committed to seeking the truth goes and wants to seek the truth. They don't seek a certain specific number of votes and threaten Georgia officials with criminal prosecution if they don't comply.
So what, Joyce, what are some of the crimes the president may have committed on this weekend call?
So I agree with Neil. First, it's important to say that there has to be a full investigation. Here's why.
Okay, so this is former U.S. Attorney Joyce Vance breaking this down. And Neil Katal is former U.S. Solicitor General.
There are a lot of possible crimes. There's this Georgia solicitation statute, soliciting election fraud. And that, Joe, frankly, looks like a slam dunk. It's what lawyers call an inchoate crime. You don't have to complete the crime. All you have to do is make the request. So the question is whether there will be a prosecution in Georgia. On the federal side of the ledger, there's a range of crimes that involve extortion, wire fraud, conspiracy. There's a specific crime that relates to election fraud. There needs to be investigation. Here's why. These crimes all come down to the president's state of mind. Did he really believe he had won the election and he was just seeking a fair count? Or did he know what was really going on here? That answer might seem obvious to all of us watching, and certainly as a prosecutor, I'd look forward to playing the tape in court, but you really have to engage in an investigation into the conversations the president had with people. I'd have subpoenas out this morning for grand jury for folks that the president has been in touch with to see if he acknowledged that he had lost the election. There's also this concept in the law of willful blindness, of someone who ignores the truth. So when the president repeatedly asks on this call for the specific number of votes he needs to win, I just need you to find me 11,780 votes. That's an indication that he's not seeking an election recount, that he's trying to steal an election. We need to have an investigation conducted by career officials at the Justice Department who know how to do this right.
Well, and the fact that the president's coherent enough to know that he needs 11,780 votes stolen and put into his column certainly would suggest that he's not delusional. But Dave Ehrenberg, this weekend we spoke about this matter, and you actually said the president's best defense under the law, both Georgia and federal, could be that he is delusional, that the president's attorneys would need to convince a judge, my client's delusional. He just doesn't know the difference between the truth, between reality and fiction.
Yeah, Joe, I agree with my colleagues. At the very least, there is a clear predicate to open a criminal investigation at the state and federal levels. And a prosecutor could indeed file charges. But whether a prosecutor would is another question, because there is some ambiguity on the president's intent. And intent is an essential element here. And indeed, his best defense is that he could claim that he really believes these lies. He believes this massive conspiracy that stole his votes. And that's why he was talking to the Secretary of State about finding lost votes. The problem, though, as Neil said, is that he didn't ask Raffensperger to find the votes. He asked him to find a specific number of votes, 11,780 votes to be exact, which is just one more than he needed to overcome Biden's victory in Georgia. Plus, Trump knows that his attorney general, his election security chief, and every judge that heard these claims, including ones he appointed, have rejected them, have debunked them outright. And so in the end, yeah, I think this was less than a perfect call. I like to refer to it as the Four Seasons total landscaping version of the call to Ukrainian President Zelensky, except here it's all caught on tape.
Yep.
I can tell you that.
All right, so this dumbass. So you got to understand, Trump tried 18 previous times to call Brad Raffensperger. He tried 18 previous times. The 19th time was the charm. And look what happened. All right, read this article here. Trump's call with Georgia's Raffensperger could be illegal, but it would be hard to prosecute, experts say. Okay. So check this one out. And this is from Morning. The clip that we played is from Morning Joe, January 4th, 2021. And let's try to turn on the screen share quickly here. And then we have one last topic we're going to discuss. And it picks up on a segment from our Sunday night show, which dealt with the history of why there are runoff elections in Georgia in the first place. It ties into racism. It's rooted in racism. Okay. So read this article here. Trump's call with Georgia's Raffensperger could be illegal, but it would be hard to prosecute, experts say. Now that's based upon what they have now. Now some like former federal prosecutors think it's easier, especially under Georgia law, as Joyce Vance was saying, it's a slam dunk. Okay. So there's going to be Trump is in deep trouble after he leaves the White House. Oh, he was already in deep trouble with indictments coming. But on top of this, he's in deep trouble. All right. So let's deal with this. I want to deal with this last topic here. Quickly here. We talked about this at the beginning of the show. Proud Boys leader arrested, accused of destroying D.C. church's Black Lives Matter sign. And Enrique Tarrio was arrested as the group was sued in the destruction of a Black Lives Matter sign at another D.C. church during pro-Trump protests. So this article is from January 4th, 2021. Proud Boys leader Enrique Tarrio was arrested Monday and accused of destroying a Black Lives Matter sign at a historic Black church in Washington, D.C. in the month of December 2020. Tarrio, who's chairman of the far-right all-male self-described group of quote-unquote Western chauvinists, no wonder Donald Trump loves him so much, was taken into custody on suspicion of destruction of property after the incident during a pro-Trump rally December 12, 2020 in downtown Washington, D.C., police said in a statement. The city's oldest African-American house of worship, Asbury United Methodist Church, said last month that a Black Lives Matter sign was removed from its building and set on fire. Now, Tarrio is 36 years old, who lives in Miami. He was arrested upon entering the city Monday, January 4th, 2021, and found to have 2 high-capacity magazines, police said. He faces an additional gun charge. Now, more pro-Trump protests are expected in Washington, D.C. on Wednesday, January 6th, 2021, plans that prompted the mobilization of the National Guard ahead of possible violence. Separately, Monday, Metropolitan African Methodist Episcopal Church sued Tarrio and Enrique Tarrio and the Proud Boys in connection with the destruction of a Black Lives Matter sign during the same December 12, 2020 pro-Trump rally. In a complaint filed in D.C. Superior Court, the church accused Tarrio and the group's members of, quote, engaging in acts of terror and vandalizing church property in an effort to intimidate the church and silence its support for racial justice. To intimidate the church and silence its support for racial justice, end quote. 8 unidentified members of the Proud Boys are also named in the lawsuit. The incident occurred on the night of December 12, 2020, after an event that featured right-wing figures like conspiracy theorist Alex Jones and former Trump National Security Advisor, Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, who's a criminal but got a pardon from a criminal. A widely circulated video showed several people destroying a Black Lives Matter sign in front of the church, which was founded in 1872 and hosted Frederick Douglass's 1895 funeral. So 1872, that's just 7 years after slavery ended and 7 years after the Civil War ended. In the lawsuit, attorneys for the church alleged that 5 to 8 members of the group leaped over its iron fence, broke the zip ties that held the plastic Black Lives Matter sign in place, and joined, quote, in the celebration of the sign's destruction, end quote. In the incident at Asbury, the church's senior pastor said pro-Trump supporters took a Black Lives Matter sign from its wall and, quote, literally burned it in the street, end quote. Metropolitan's attorney said Enrique Tarrio, conspired with other Proud Boys to plan and promote violent events throughout the summer and fall, including on December 12, 2020. All right. Now, the suit cited countless messages on social media and other platforms that appeared to encourage members to buy ammo, clean your guns, and keep our enemies awake. Tonight we become nightmares. Quote, keep our enemies awake. Tonight we become nightmares, end quote. The Proud Boys didn't respond to a request for comment on Monday, January 4th, 2021. In a post on the social media site Parler, Enrique Torrio said, "You can't put an idea in chains. You can't sue it." He added that the armor of God protects me. Whose God are you talking about? Maybe it's Lucifer. All right, read the rest of this article here. You notice how people, when they do wrong stuff like this, they always want to invoke God. Whose God are you talking about? Check this out from NBCnews.com. Proud Boys leader arrested, accused of destroying D.C. church's Black Lives Matter sign. All right. So check out that article, read the rest of that. Okay, so on a Sunday, January 3rd show, we talked about some of the history behind why there are runoff elections in Georgia and other southern states. It's tied into racism and trying to lock African Americans out of statewide political power. There was an article that I cited from yahoonews.com that was picked up, that they picked up from The Conversation. It's called A Brief History of Georgia's Runoff Voting and Its Racist Roots. A Brief History of Georgia's Runoff Voting and Its Racist Roots. So those of you who saw our show Sunday night, our extended show, because it ended up being 3 hours. I ain't planning on it being 3 hours. It just ended up that way. You all saw that segment, right? Here is that article. Everybody go read this. You don't have to take my word for this. Proper documentation ends all conversation. All right. And I also talked about how Reverend, if it had not been for this racist law, Reverend Raphael Warnock would be a U.S. Senator from Georgia right now. He would have been sworn in with the 117th Congress on Sunday, June 3rd, 2021. Okay. Why is that? Well, let's look at this quickly. Reverend Raphael Warnock got more votes than anybody in the November 3rd presidential, November 3rd election for U.S. Senator. Okay. If we go look at the results, this is from Politico.com, but you can look at them from whatever source you want to. Let's pull this up here with the screen share. All right. So this is from Politico.com, Politico. This was last updated December 28th, 2020. These are the, they show the results of all the elections for the November 3rd, 2020 election. This is looking at the Georgia Senate race. Republican Senator Kelly Loeffler versus Democratic challenger Raphael Warnock. All right. Reverend Raphael Warnock got more votes than anybody else in that race. He got 32.9% of the votes. And Kelly Loeffler got 25.9% of the votes. Reverend Raphael Warnock, who's African-American, got 1.6 million votes compared to incumbent Senator Kelly Loeffler's 1.27 million votes. Representative Doug Collins, former representative now, he only got 980,000 votes. Deborah Jackson, who's a Democrat, got 6.6% of the votes. Doug Collins is a Republican. So Reverend Raphael Warnock actually won this race. He got more votes than anybody else. So why isn't he U.S. Senator? Why does he have to run against somebody he already beat? Well, the answer is tied into racism. Okay, so go check this out. Read this yourself at Politico.com. Look at the results. There was the article I was really looking for last night was from Channel 11 Alive, 11alive.com out of Georgia. Runoffs arose to limit power of black voters in Georgia, much of South, experts say. Runoff elections arose to limit power of black voters in Georgia, much of South, experts say. With two upcoming U.S. Senate runoffs, voters in Georgia could decide the balance of power in Washington, D.C. Runoffs, though, come with a racially motivated history. Now, Georgia let me see. Let's get past some of this. In both primaries, okay. So it talks about at the Georgia state capitol in the 1960s, State Representative Denmark Groover led a charge for runoff elections. A federal report looking at civil rights in America called State Representative Denmark Groover a, quote, staunch segregationist, end quote, who pushed for runoffs in Georgia as a way to challenge a growing black political power. The report reads, quote, support for the majority vote plan reinforced the moderate segregationist position. It did not remove anyone's right to cast a ballot, but it was commonly regarded as hampering African Americans, the stigmatized bloc voters, end quote. While still allowing black voters to cast a ballot, runoff elections at the time attempted to make sure candidates representing the white majority, not the interests of black citizens, would be elected. Quote, the South traditionally was a one-party government, one party, Democrat, beginning in the 19th century up until the middle of the 20th century, and more recently, one party, Republican, end quote. As voting laws and patterns have shifted, the impact of runoffs may have also changed. I want to go to this clip here. They have this clip in this article, and then we'll reference the other article that's a more extensive one, the one from yahoonews.com. Because what happened was see, in 1963, the way that the system that they had was set up, that was ruled illegal by the U.S. Supreme Court. The article from Yahoo News talks about this. So then they're going to come with another system to have runoff elections, so that if the African American, so that in the primaries, well, in the general election, if an African American wins in that general election but doesn't get 50% or more of the vote, then you have to have a runoff election between the two top vote getters. And then if it was a situation where the white vote was split between two candidates, like it was between Doug Collins and Senator Kelly Loeffler in the general election, then in the runoff election, white people could coalesce, regardless of political party, coalesce around one white candidate to defeat the African-American candidate. Okay, this is why that law was created. In 1963, the U.S. Supreme Court declared the county unit system unconstitutional as a violation of the one person, one vote principle. This prompted Georgian legislators in Georgia to look for a new electoral system that could similarly yet legally suppress the African American vote. All right, let me I want to show you this, okay, because see, we have to understand this is all about power, okay, and racism is a system of advantage and privilege distributed based upon race. Okay, racism is a system of advantage and privilege distributed based upon race. Racism is a power structure, and this is all dealing with trying to preserve genetic white survival. Racism occurs when one race of people control the majority of the wealth, power, resources, etc., and they use this to marginalize, subordinate, and do harm to another race of people. So this deals with a 1963 U.S. Supreme Court ruling that prompted Georgian legislators to look for a new electoral system that could similarly yet legally suppress the African American vote, because what they were using previously has just been ruled unconstitutional by the U.S. Supreme Court. The foundation is the U.S. Constitution. This is why I tell people you got to read the U.S. Constitution to understand law. That's the foundation. Go to loc.gov, Library of Congress website, loc.gov, or archives.gov, the National Archives, and read the U.S. Constitution. Later that year, later 1963, okay, Denmark Groover, a staunch segregationist, proposed the adoption of runoff voting, runoff elections, as it, quote, would again provide protection, which was removed with the death of the county unit system, end quote. The fear among whites, this is trying to preserve genetic white survival, and this is dealing with maintaining power. The fear among whites was that if elections were left to plurality voting, meaning that whoever gets the most number of votes wins, okay, and you can have the most number of votes but not get a majority of the votes. Majority means 50% plus one. Reverend Raphael Warnock got a plurality of the votes. He got 32.9%. He got more than anybody else, but he did not get a majority. The fear among whites was that if elections were left to plurality voting, the white vote could be split among several different candidates, while African Americans could, in theory, vote as a single block for an African American candidate who could end up winning with the most votes overall. So Denmark Grover, state representative of Georgia, Denmark Grover, was quoted by State Representative James McKay as having said on the floor of the Georgia House of Representatives that the plurality voting, that with plurality voting, quote, the Negroes and the pressure groups and special interests are going to manipulate the state and take charge, end quote. It's because of this nonsense like this that this runoff voting law was put into place, rooted in racism, which is why Reverend Raphael Warnock is not U.S. Senator from Georgia right now, because he would have been sworn in on January 3rd, 2021, if it had not been for this racist law. So let's look at some of the history behind this. Let me go to this clip here from Channel 11, 11 Alive in Georgia. Let's cue this up. Just a second. Runoff. Okay. Runoffs arose to limit the power of African Americans. And okay, it has to queue up. All right, here we go. Stand by.
Universe with 2 Senate races.
The process of runoff elections may seem fairly simple, but these contests once served a racially motivated purpose. 11 Alive's Joe Hankey with more for us tonight.
While many Georgia voters may be familiar with runoff elections, they may not be familiar with the history of runoffs in Georgia and across the South. At the Georgia state capitol in the 1960s, a state representative named Denmark Groover led a charge for runoff elections. A federal report looking at civil rights in America calls Groover a staunch segregationist who pushed for runoffs in Georgia as a way to challenge growing black political power. And, quote, support for the majority vote plan reinforced the moderate segregationist position. It did not remove anyone's right to cast a ballot, but it was commonly regarded as hampering African Americans to stigmatize block voters. While still allowing black voters to cast a ballot, runoffs at the time made sure candidates representing the white majority, not the interests of black citizens, would be elected.
They don't function precisely that way anymore, but one has to wonder what function they do have.
Cal Jolson is a political science professor at Southern Methodist University in Dallas, Texas. He says runoffs are linked to elections in the South, requiring a candidate to have more than 50% or a majority of votes cast to win an election.
Runoff is an opportunity for the white majority to come together and beat back a challenge from a black candidate.
Frequently, as you know. And when lawmakers such as Groover wrote and passed laws requiring runoffs, they did not hide their intentions.
Before anyone was politically correct, people spoke very directly about their sense of race and the importance of maintaining white supremacy. And that's what these electoral rules were intended to do.
Currently, Georgia is only one of 10 states, primarily in the South, using runoffs and primaries. Only Georgia and Louisiana use them for general elections. Jilson views runoffs as outdated election law.
There's less and less reason, and really fewer and fewer states as time goes by that use runoffs.
Okay, so that was from 11alive.com. Check out this article here. Runoffs arose to limit power of black voters in Georgia, much of South, experts say. This is from November 9th, 2020, from 11alive.com. We'll post this link here as well. All right. Visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Also follow us on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network, and our YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep. Turn on notifications so you know when we go live. Subscribe. African American business owners, post name your business here on the thread of the broadcast. Email us at customer service at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Customer service at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. We'll let you know how you can advertise with the African History Network also. We create a 30-second and 60-second commercial for you. We air that when we rebroadcast these shows on our social media platforms. And the audio version of the commercial will air in the audio podcast of our shows. Also, we're on 9 different audio podcast platforms: iHeartRadio, Castbox, iTunes, FM Player, TuneIn, Stitcher, etc. All right. Look, we have to get out of here. We're here Monday through Friday, 11 p.m. to 12 midnight Eastern Standard Time, and Sundays, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time also. If you like this type of information, you can donate to the African History Network, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, and also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN Show. So these runoff elections, that's a law that has to be repealed. In the southern states that have it, like Georgia, that's a law that has to be repealed, but you have to vote the right people into office who will vote to repeal that vote, who will vote to repeal that law. You have to vote and support the right people at the state, in the state legislature, because that's a state law. So you have to vote the right people into office at the state legislature level who will repeal that law. Okay, who will vote to repeal that law. All right. So remember, at the African History Network, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world. How you doing, Christy, Eric, Ronnie, Robert? Who's this? Rolodex, Rollerdead 5X, Rihanna. How's everybody doing? Also, let's see. We have the African American History Month is coming up. Somebody emailed me today. They want me to do a presentation. If you want me to speak at your African American History Month celebration, email us at customerservice@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Customerservice@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Also, we have the 15 DVD Black History Bundle Pack, Black History Month Bundle Pack. It's 15 of my lectures. That's at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. We also have the bundle pack, The Africans Who Were Here Before Columbus. Is an 8 DVD bundle pack, includes a lot of my lectures and a double lecture I did with Dr. David Imhotep, who wrote the book The First Americans Were Africans, Documented Evidence, and also a double lecture I did with Professor Kaba Kamene from the Hidden Colors documentaries, and it deals with the ancient African presence in the Americas. This is the Africans Who Were Here Before Columbus DVD bundle pack also. So check that out. That's on sale. I think it's like $50 at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. All right, but if you want me to speak at your African American History Month event, virtual or, well, I don't know if I'm traveling. I don't know if I don't know if I'm going to travel, but a virtual event with I don't think coronavirus is going to be under control enough for me to travel in February, because I haven't traveled anywhere like out of state since February 2020. I spoke in Chicago. That was February 3rd, 2020. I haven't traveled anywhere out of state since then. I ain't going nowhere, but we'll see. We'll see how things are. But a lot of events may be virtual. Okay, so you can email me at customer service at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. And in the African American History Month presentations I do, so mine are like probably different than the ones that a lot of people may be familiar with. One of the things I deal with are the origins of African American History Month. The origins of African American History Month. Dr. Carter G. Woodson, the creation of the Association for the Study of African American Life and History, which started out as the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History, September 9th, 1915. I deal with the history of African American History Month. Some of the annual themes, there's an annual theme each year for African American History Month. There's been an annual theme going back to about 1928. Okay. And then I deal with like what the annual theme is. So this year's annual theme is now the Association for the Study of African American Life and History is the governing body of African American History Month, which started out as Negro History Week in 1926, the second week of 1926. Contrary to popular belief, African American History Month or Black History Month is not something white people gave us. That's something we created for ourselves. So right there, a lot of times people get it wrong. They think white people gave us that. No, they didn't. We created that. That's Dr. Carter G. Woodson, who's known as the father of Black history. So the 2021 annual theme for African American History Month is the Black family, representation, identity, and diversity. The Black family, representation, identity, and diversity. So each year, the various presentations I do are dealing with different aspects of what the annual theme is. For 2020, the annual theme was African Americans and the vote, because the year 2020 was the sesquicentennial, or the 150th anniversary of the adoption of the 15th Amendment of 1870, which was adopted February 3rd, 1870. Okay, which guaranteed the right to vote for African American men, the 15th Amendment of 1870. Okay, so the theme, so there's a whole write-up on what the annual theme is. So my presentations deal with different aspects of the annual theme, and I did a presentation dealing with, does an amendment give you the right to vote? We'll probably rebroadcast that presentation I did. Does an amendment give you the right to vote? Because nowhere in the U.S. Constitution, once again, this goes back to the Constitution. Once again, this goes back to the U.S. Constitution. Nowhere in the U.S. Constitution does it explicitly give anyone the right to vote. There are protections that protect the right to vote, but nowhere in the U.S. Constitution does it anywhere explicitly give anyone the right to vote. Okay, so that's enough show for today. All right, right now it's correct wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. We'll talk to you tomorrow night. Peace.